What is up, guys? It's your boy, Already Theory Crafting Cactus, and today, Bungie just dropped a huge article detailing all of the buffs and nerfs coming to exotic armor within the Final Shape expansion, and so, let's get into it. Now, first off, Bungie talks about the big reason for making all of these changes, which is the introduction of the prismatic subclasses. You're now going to have interactions with exotic armor that we really never thought possible. They say our existing armor and mods were originally released in a world where each subclass was only ever a single element. Since that will no longer be true with the release of the Final Shape, we've taken a pass through our existing gear. For the most part, this meant updating exotic armor and armor mods to reference a player's equipped super element instead of a specific subclass. This allows their effects to function on prismatic without changing their behavior on the original subclass. For example, the Titan exotic Hoarfrost Z will require just a stasis super to be equipped, rather than the full stasis subclass. We've also taken the opportunity to update the description of harmonic mods to better explain their behavior and to fully support Strand on resistance mods. However, in a few places we want to make some more meaningful changes, and here's where we get into things. First of all, for the Hunter guys, the Triton Vice, well, glaive projectile final blows now always trigger a detonation that matches the glaive's damage type, even when the glaive does not match the equipped subclass. The surrounded effect provided by Triton Vice while wielding a glaive now lingers on the player for 5 seconds after no longer being surrounded. Next up, Dragon Shadow has been updated to trigger its effects when you use Ensnaring Slam or the new Ascension Arc aspect, opening up more build crafting combinations. Then for Foe Tracer, it now grants the bonus damage it inflicts on a target to weapons. The damage type also matches that of the ability used to damage that target instead of always matching your equipped subclass. With Prismatic, you can apply a variety of different damage elements with your abilities, and this change allows Foe Tracer to buff multiple different weapon damage types instead of just the one that matches your subclass or super element. After that, Bungie talks about adding an additional benefit to the 6th Coyote, because what they've done is taken that perk and added it to the exotic class item for Prismatic, where it's just going to give you an extra class ability, and they didn't want, the Prismatic, new exotic, and the original 6th Coyote to have the exact same perk. So now what they're going to do is they added the ability for the 6th Coyote to create orbs of power from final blows after using your class ability. So it's kind of like getting that one armor mod for free. They say this is implemented as the exotic, granting a free copy of the Reaper armor mod's effect. So that's what it's called. After that, we have the Renewal Grasps. So they say it's been updated to grant the new Frost Armor Stasis keyword that we talked about in yesterday's video, instead of a bespoke damage reduction effect. So on entering your Dustfield Grenade volume, you or allies gain a stack of Frost Armor. About every 0.9 seconds, an additional stack of Frost Armor is granted, resetting your timer. And we learned yesterday, in PvE, you're going to get 4.5% damage resistance with up to 5 stacks without any additional effects, so that's around 22.5% damage resistance from standing in your dust field after a little bit. Moving on from there, guys, the Star Eater scales. Oh boy. So they say it's always been a strong exotic, but after the Lightfall changes to exotic armor mods, orbs of power are much easier to come by. We want to adjust Star Eater scales to balance the effort required to gain its powerful effects. So they say they've increased the orbs of power required to grant the maximum benefits from 4 to 6, and they've reduced the increased super energy gained per orb of power with the Golden Gun from 2% down to 0.5%. So definitely a nerf to the Star Eater scales. Now moving on from there, I guess they saved the best for middle, we have the Titan. So for the Ursa Furiosa, to improve the new Void Aspect Unbreakable, in addition to its previous effects, now provides increased movement speed while guarding with Unbreakable. Also grants super energy for guarding with Unbreakable. This energy scales based on the amount of incoming damage the shield absorbs. Remember guys, Unbreakable is going to be the thing where you can consume your grenade and you make like a shield in front of you. It was shown off in some gameplay a while back, so the fact that Ursa works with that is pretty cool. Moving on from there, for the Eternal Warrior, it will no longer require an arc subclass for arc final blows to grant its escalating arc weapon damage bonus. This allows it to synergize with prismatic builds more easily. Its behavior related to the Fists of Havoc is unchanged. Moving on from there, the Armamentarium, same thing as the 6 Coyote, right? Otherwise it would have had the same effect of just giving you 2 grenades on the Prismatic Exotic class item. So the additional benefit is that it will now create orbs of power from grenade final blows. So essentially, these sound a bit minor. With that being said, freeing up like a whole armor mod slot, and these are often like expensive 3 energy cost armor mods, that could actually be pretty decent. Moving on from there, the Kepri's Horn. They say it was feeling lackluster, so we've increased the potency of its Solar Blast. So they've increased the damage by 100% in PvE. Wow. The Solar Blast now scorches each time it hits a target, instead of scorching only once. Kepri's Horn now benefits from the Ember of Eruption and Ember of Ashes, plus 30 Scorch in PvE and plus 15 Scorch in PvP. That's pretty cool. Moving on from there, the Heart of Inmost Lights buff in the HUD could easily crowd out other important information. And so they've just consolidated its effect status and the functionality is completely unchanged. Moving on from there, the Syntheseps. Bungie says it's an exotic all about being in the thick of a group of enemies, and its effects are potent to offset the inherent danger of being surrounded. However, they say it was too easy to carry those powerful effects, so they've reduced the amount of time that bionic enhancements lingers after no longer being surrounded from 8 seconds to 5 seconds. This duration is now visible as a timer on the buff. Okay, moving on from there, Severance Enclosure. They say it's a particularly noisy exotic, and they wanted to alleviate some of the noise and awkwardness around the explosions. So its explosions now require line of sight to damage enemies. We've also reduced the knockback intensity of these explosions, which will now launch enemies more consistently vertically. Moving on from there, guys, for the Warlock. So the Mantle of Battle Harmony has been adjusted to grant more super energy for defeating powerful enemies, and the cooldown on granting a super energy has been removed. This is intended to make it more potent in a wider variety of activities. So it now grants super energy ranging from between 1.5% and 4.5% depending on what you kill, and they've removed the 2-second cooldown for the perk's activation. That's actually like a pretty big deal, guys. Moving on from there, the Baldros Wraithweavers, they've been updated to grant the new Frost Armor Stasis keyword instead of the old Stasis Shard Overshield. So activating your Rift grants you and nearby allies the maximum Frost Armor stacks when Frost Pulse is equipped. Activating your Winter's Wrath Shatter attack grants nearby allies the maximum amount of stacks of Frost Armor. When your Winter's Wrath ends, you gain maximum stacks of Frost Armor. Honestly, like, getting max Frost Armor stacks, 22% damage resistance just for using a class ability, and if it's a healing rift, you're going to be also gaining that healing. That's a pretty good degree of survivability. Moving on from there, Secant Filaments. They say its empowering rift will now reset a player's existing Devour buff duration back to 11 seconds when they enter it, in addition to its previous behavior. So just like a minor buff there. Then for Verity's Brow, it now requires final blows with a weapon matching your grenade's damage type instead of one matching the equipped subclass. This better supports Prismatic. All right. Then for the Sunbracers, they say it's seen quite a bit of time in the sun this season. We wanted to bring down some of its extreme potency in crowd control. So what they've done is that they've reduced the increased solar grenade duration from 4 seconds to 2 seconds, and they've reduced its increased grenade recharge rate to allow a maximum of 4 grenades when the effect is active, down from 5. So definitely a nerf to the Sunbracers. After that, guys, we have the Cenotaph Mask. They say when multiple Warlocks used it on a single target, it resulted in far more heavy ammo than was healthy for the Sandbox. You're telling me it was pretty crazy. It also pushed fire teams into all using the same build, which is more reductive than we would like. So multiple players using Cenotaph Mask can no longer trigger its effect using a single enemy target. Cenotaph's target lock visual marker is now hidden for the exotic's wearer and only appears to the wearer's allies, just making it harder to use, I guess. Moving on from there, guys, we have powered melee and armor effects. So they say the term powered melee has always intended to mean spending a melee charge. However, subclass elements like combination blow or knockout would allow players to circumvent this cost. This makes it difficult to balance the potency of effects that require a powered melee, especially across all classes and subclasses. We want to standardize this better across the sandbox. We are starting with updating Severance Enclosure and Assassin's Cowl to only trigger their effects when player spends a melee charge or uses a finisher, I guess, to get a final blow. We plan on rolling this type of change out to more content that triggers powered melee in future updates. Moving on from there, exotic artifice upgrades. Hold on one second. They say even if you're spending time to get that triple 100 artifice armor set up to your build, one piece has always been left out. Whether you're looking to make everything match or get that last +3 to resilience or just want to get your hands on artifice gear for the first time, we figured it was about time to let us tie up that loose end. So with the release of the file shape, exotic armor will now be able to access the unique mod slot and free stat mods of artifice armor. So, exotic armor can now be upgraded after it has been fully masterworked, granting an artifice mod slot. This comes at the cost of an exotic cipher and 10,000 glimmer. That's actually huge. Like, I have so many builds where just another like +3 would give me a tier of a certain stat. Like, that is awesome. Moving on from there, an ammo finder update. So they say live in the game right now, heavy and special ammo finder mods reset their progress towards an ammo brick whenever you die. This leads to players receiving less ammo in harder difficulty activities, especially if they are playing right on the edge of their skill level. In fact, if you are unlucky enough with the timing of your character dying, it was possible to never get any finder ammo bricks at all. So in the final shape, we want to make ammo finders more predictable for all players across all activities, so heavy and special ammo finder mods will persist their progress towards an ammo brick through death. This means you will always get a finder brick if you defeat enough enemies, regardless of how many times you die along the way. And they say because of this change, we have disabled ammo finder mods in the Crucible, and player kills will no longer grant ammo finder progress in Gambit. We also found this change dramatically increases the amount of ammo Guardians would receive on average, so we have increased the kill requirements for both special and heavy ammo finders by 20% for Guardians in a fire team. Solo Guardians, however, have no one to resurrect them when they're defeated, so we've left their kill requirements unchanged. Lastly, for raid armor mods, they say the narrow application of raid mods allows us to give them potent benefits unique to the raids in which they are used. However, while these benefits are strong, they don't currently feel impactful enough in practice, especially since they may not fit into your existing build. As a result, with the release of the final shape, we are making it much easier to layer these extra elements into your loadout as you go for that perfect weapon roll. Removed all mod energy costs from raid-specific armor mods. Wow. So, yeah, Jesus, grinding raids in the final shape, like if you just have a couple armor mods, you throw them on now for free, that's going to be a lot easier, guys. And so guys, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.